Hi everybody, Bayes's Good Woch. We're continuing in Parshas Bo. We're on page 134, number 15. It's, let's see, the name of it is from, we're working, this is a pretty accurate translation of the last year that the Rebbe Malchus spoke. And so this, you can get the translation. It's, if you look in the description, it'll show you where you can download the book, or you can buy it also on the same website. And let's continue here. So this is from the top spoken on the fourth day of the week, is spoken on Wednesday, the Torah portion Bo, and on the third of Shevat, and on Shabbos the Torah portion Bo on the 6th of Shevat. In other words, Wednesday was the 3rd of Shevat, and the 6th of Shevat was Shabbos. Okay, we're on page, as I said before, we're on page 134, page number 15, and we're talking about how the whole idiom the Rebbe explains is that everything's done. The whole idea of Bo Parshas talks about how Hashem had Moshe Rabbeinu see the essence of Pharaoh and didn't pass away, and this Pharaoh gave one to his generation to the giving of the Torah. And our job here is to reveal this in the lowest level, that the Rebbe says, that's something nobody ever said before, that we're already in redemption spiritually, and we all have to just open our eyes physically and see it. And that's what we're in the process of doing. He explains that right now, that because the previous Lubavitch already finished the basic work for Geula, and by him he wasn't able to be at such a high level that he could be enclosed in his body. His body was so refined, the redemption wasn't ready, so he had to go up above to receive this great revelation from God. Because you say you can't see this revelation of God and stay in existence. But the Rebbe says clearly that it explains here that our generation, we don't have to do that because we're already, everything's done. And we're another generation, this is the generation of redemption. So he's saying that our whole life and everything we do should be in a way, we should live it in a way that we should reveal this level from the Friedrich, of this level, the bursting lights down below. That was the Friedrich Rebbe wasn't able to we talk about when you go to the house of Pharaoh, that there's two things, that everything's revealed, even hidden, and it's revealed in a way of bursting forward. The lights burst out, which is a very superpower, beyond regular power. And this is usually too hard for a created being to take. However, since we've been refined and reached such a level, so therefore that we're now receiving this level of godliness, the essence of godliness, how he reveals himself, we receive this, and we're complete that way spiritually, but in a physical body, we don't see it yet. And this is what we're working on and we'll see in a complete way in the future redemption, but this is how we have to live our life, to be totally godly. This is how we think of doing Torah and mitzvahs. This is how we have to bring it into the world. So, and through this, that this will be burst, this light will actually come all the way down in the physical world. This is the final times of revelation of the final redemption. And we've got so on 15. And with regards to this, standing in the present days of the preparation for the 10th of Shevat, the Yom who loved the leader of the generation, the Rebbe Yosef Yitzchak, the Friedrich Rebbe, when the leader of the generation, my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe, appreciates an additional elevation. Every month, every year he goes to a higher special level, and through him. So when he goes, the Friedrich Rebbe is going through a higher level. Through him, every single Jew, man, woman, and child of the generation as well. So he was the Rebbe the whole generation. And every Jew of this generation, men, women, and child, must take good resolutions with regard to all the matters with which the Balilu demanded. So in other words, that he's bringing down much more light and he's going to a higher level. So we have to also do our job. Since he's giving us more light, is coming down to us, so we have the capability to do much more. So therefore we have to regard in everything he wants us to do, beginning with the lamp is a mitzvah and Torah is a light. Torah studies, written and oral Torah, and the mitzvah fulfilling in his most scrupulous manner. So everything we do should be in the best possible way and most beautiful way. And we should learn more in the Torah and learn more Torah and understand it better, both as far as oneself is concerned, as well as regarding to others. What's regarding the others? So for myself, I have to do everything special. Regarding others, what's the special service? It's the service of spreading Torah and Judaism, as well as disseminating the well springs outward. Is what we're doing now. This video, what we're doing is we're disseminating the well springs outward in a manner of come to Pharaoh, namely that every Jew, that you make every Jew into a vessel to receive the bursting forth of the lights of the two great luminaries. What are the two great luminaries? The written Torah and the oral Torah. We're going to receive the lights of both Torahs. The revealed part of the Torah as well as the deeper dimensions of Torah, Hasidic works. So this is the second one, is that one is the oral, one is the written. And also there's called the revealed and the secret. So both should be revealed. And so that's what we have to do to fulfill the demand of the Frierdiker Rebbe is that we have to make every Jew into a vessel to receive these great lights. Besides making ourselves into a vessel by learning what the Rebbe does and by doing Torah mitzvahs, davening and being good to each other and doing everything that the Rebbe says to do here, we also have to affect other Jews that they also should do all of this, because they also will become vessels to receive this great light of Hashem. This is the greatest Ahavat Yisrael that turns somebody on to God, including and mainly through adding in the study of the insights of Ula himself and the fulfillment of instructions. We have to read what the Frierdiker Rebbe said and what to do. The Rebbe, we have to understand, when he talks about the Frierdiker Rebbe, many times he's referring to himself. And because of, I guess because of his humbleness, he doesn't say himself, I don't know. But many times, and also, we're going to talk about a little bit later, about how the Frierdiker Rebbe started to get involved with women. He just started. I think I was talking to somebody who said he only had one speech to the women, not a lot. The Rebbe itself was totally out with the women. He had the women coming for dollars, for yichidas, everything. It's a whole new world. It was what the Frierdiker Rebbe took was like a little seed, like we're talking about a seed. And the Rebbe made it grow and sprout forth, Yeshua's Ba'aretz. So this is also like maybe what we're talking about. The Rebbe always says that the power is always coming from the Frierdiker Rebbe up above. If he reaches higher level, he sends down higher levels of spirituality, higher help from above down. Maybe that's and he talks about that. So the whole idea, it says that he seeds in the land that when he goes up, he's like seeding. He was the seed when he was down below. But when his soul went up, he's able to sprout forth Yeshua, to make everything grow more down below. So, anyway, so let's go. So we're on page 135. Including and mainly that through adding and Torah study insights of the Bali Ula, the Frierdiker Rebbe himself, and the fulfillment of instructions. And all of this is with the emphasis that every person shall resolve that his studying of Torah of the Bali Ula should compensate for what the lacking of the spreading of well speaks due to the speech impediment of the Bali Ula. So in other words, the Frierdiker Rebbe couldn't speak, so therefore we're speaking for him by learning his stuff, and we should have in mind that by us doing this, we're bringing down we're bringing down everything the Frierdiker Rebbe would have brought down if he could speak, due to the speech impediment of the Bali Ula, both through one's own study with his own speech, as well as the spreading of well springs outward to others. So right now, what we're doing, we should think we're doing both. I'm doing through my own speech, my own study, because I'm studying with everybody. I'm bringing it down for my own speech, the words of the Rebbe, which the Rebbe said that the Hasidim once asked an older Hasidim, what is my relationship with the new Rebbe? And the Rebbe heard this and he said, tell him that we're one neshama and two bodies. So that really they're just an extension, like the Rebbe says above. He's just an extension of the Frierdiker Rebbe. So therefore, we should bring the well springs outwards. This is also like revealing. We are like the speech of the down below, the total fixed product of the idiom Mashiach, that we bring everything down into the world in a complete way. We're on 16, and more specifically, the Bali who dedicated himself to every type of Jew in accordance with their nature, as we saw the radiance and joy and continence with the Bali shown to every Jew, men, women, and children. Men according with their nature, women in accordance with their nature, and children in accordance with their nature. Really, the Rebbe is really, I don't know how much of the Rebbe, Frierdiker Rebbe did. He did this for sure, but the Rebbe was totally seen throughout. especially later years through dollars and how he acted a certain way with women. He was much more open and soft, and with men he was wonderful, but he was different. And with children he was like a different. We could see the Rebbe's actions, exactly what he's saying. He had control, but he had joy with whoever he interacted. Indeed, this is one of the most innovations of the leader of our generation, that in his last years especially dedicated himself to self-sacrifice, to spreading Torah and Judaism, and especially Torah study and education of Jewish women and daughters and of Jewish children, which this is innovation for a leader of the Jewish people. Before the Frierdiker Rebbe started, which I said he just began, and the Rebbe just spread it throughout the world, women were not educated. They weren't. A lot of them didn't know how to read Hebrew. I mean, I think it's a story, but I think it's the middle of one of the Rebbe's wives. And the son was asking his father, he says, my mother doesn't know how to read Hebrew. She's reading Tehillim, she's making all these mistakes. And he says, don't worry, her Tehillim is better than anybody else's. But I'm not showing that they were holy, very holy people, but they were very not educated, and you're supposed to teach them how to take care of the things they had to do, children in the house. It wasn't a thing. And then, so the very big Rebbe started, and the Rebbe made this, and now it's like a given. Everybody has to go to school, but men and girls and boys. This is something new, the last few generations. And although we find similar efforts we find that the efforts were been explained by other great leaders, but it was never accepted. Although we find similar efforts by the greats of Jewish people in previous years, as known based on their letters, etc. This was not accepted by everybody. And even by those that accepted it, it was with many limitations. Where the pursuits in this realm, the Frierdiker Rebbe, have become widely accepted and reached numerous places throughout the world, and so it continues to spread. And through this, it has been an immeasurable greater addition in Torah study of Jewish women, daughters, and children. So the Rebbe is showing that the Frierdiker Rebbe, and that the Rebbe himself, who doesn't mention himself, has already spread the idea of Mashiach teaching Torah to everybody, not only the men. And this is something special for our generation. And we have seen this, we have the instruction that the intensifying of the activities in correlation of the 10th of Shevat must be with all types of Jews, men, women, and children. So they were on page 136. So everybody explains that everybody has to be involved in this, every type, in accordance with their nature, with special attention to the activities of Jewish women and daughters and children, which through this there is an advancement in the service of the whole household, in addition to their own service, even an advancement in the service of the men. And thereby, when the women do better job, this affects the whole house, and this will affect also how the men are able to do better service, because they affect everything. Children are unique in the fact that they must be educated little by little in accordance with their vessels. As such, they can grasp it. In the words of the verse, that Yosef, similar to Yosef of our generation, the Rebbe is explaining it to Frierdiker Rebbe. Yosef, we're talking about Yosef Atadik, the Yosef in the Torah, supplied bread to Ness. It says when Yosef was in charge of Egypt, he was second in charge, and all the Jews were living under him, and he was the one who gave them food. He says he gave them men according to them, women according to them, and he gave children according to them. So it explains when you give a little baby food, they crumble it up, and you have to give them like 5 times the amount, 3 times, it depends on the kid. But you have to give much more, and they crumble and most of it gets thrown away, thrown out, for them just to get what they need to eat. So you might have to give more. He needs to eat like half a cupful. You might have to give him like 2 cupfuls, however it is. So it says, so the Rebbe is explaining this. It says, so let's go. Children are unique in the fact that they must be educated little by little, in accordance with their vessels, as such that they can grasp it. In the words of the verse, that Yosef, similar to Yosef in our generation, supplied bread necessary for the children. In addition to this, the nature of the children is they crumble their food, which through this, the food can be reached others, which in the meantime cannot handle more than small crumbs. So I've never seen this. I mean, it's very interesting. First of all, we say that generally we always think about the crumbling of the food, that that's what you give the kid, and the rest gets thrown away. But the Rebbe says no, because we're talking about Torah. We're talking about godliness. Nothing gets thrown away. But he says that it's crumbled up, so there's some people who can't even, like a child can only take a little, but they can even take less. So they will also be able to take these levels. Likewise, regarding to Jewish women and children, among the special, I'm going to tell a story. It's in Israel, it's a famous story that there was a little girl. Chabad went out there to Mitzrayim. Somebody gave her a Shabbos candle kit. She went home. She was like 5 years old. The family was not Shomer Shabbos or anything at the time. And she says, "Can I light the candle?" They says, "No, it's not for us." She cried. So they let her lit the candle. So next Shabbos they decided, well, maybe they shouldn't have TV on while the candle's burning. And each Shabbos they took on something else. And the whole family became firm from this little girl lighting the Shabbos candle. The whole family saw the light of God. The light of God shone through this girl into the whole family, to lighting up the house with the Shabbos candle. And that's what we're going to talk about, the specialness of the Shabbos candle. So I wanted to relate this wonderful story I heard. It's Hashem, we should light up the whole world right away. And likewise, regarding Jewish women and daughters, among the special mitzvahs of the Jewish women and daughters is the lighting of the Shabbos and holiday candles, which this is one of the innovations of our generation, that there has been an immensely great addition in the manner of Jewish women and daughters who light Shabbos candles, Shabbos and holiday candles, and thereby illuminate their households. And the word with candle is a mitzvah in the Torah's light, including in a manner that all lights bursting forth. In other words, from them lighting the candle, they shine up the whole world to such a level, like we talked about, the level that Hashem himself, the revelation, the essence of Hashem himself, his revelations come to it. There's another story I like to talk about Shabbos candles. I don't know a lot, but I was at somebody's house once for Shabbos, and everybody, I was a little bit bored. I get bored easily, but not talking just regular stuff. So I decided to tell a Rebbe. I asked to tell a Rebbe story. Everybody went around and started telling wonderful Rebbe stories. So the Balabas, she says, "I have a Rebbe story." I says, "Yeah, what happens?" She says, "Yeah." She says, "The way I became religious is somebody called me up and says the Lubavitch Rebbe is sick, and we're asking people to take on, because her name was Fried or something. They just called her up in the phone book to take on an extra mitzvah. She didn't know who the Lubavitch Rebbe was or anything." So, but she said, for some reason, she told him, "But whatever you take on, they say you have to take on seriously and do it forever, the rest of your life." So she thought. She says, "Well, I take on lighting Shabbos candles." So the lady on the phone says, or the person, I don't know if it was a man or a woman, the person on the phone says, "But you have to make sure you take it on." She says, "I'll take it on." And she says she started lighting Shabbos candles, and that changed her whole life. So here's another thing about lighting candles. We can see examples how they change the whole life. But we're talking about simply that when you light Shabbos candles, that brings the holy light of Shabbos into the house, and that shines up the whole house and makes the whole house a place of holiness. And so everybody living in the house benefits from it. This is what we're going to go and talk. And simply you see that when lights a candle, the entire room is illuminated with the light of a candle. And being a holy candle, upon which a blessing was made, it illuminates the entire room with holiness. Similar to the phenomenon of the bursting forth of all the lights. Again, the Rebbe is bringing this, that everything there is talking about, that when we do now, we're already this level of bringing the highest level of Hashem to be revealed in the world. And he's giving examples of it. I mean, whereas other mitzvahs, and the Rebbe is going to explain, mitzvah by lighting the candle is very smart. It's different than other mitzvahs. Because whereas other mitzvahs, sometimes it says you cannot do mitzvahs, you cannot do more than, mitzvahs are separate from one another. So let's read inside. We're on page 137. Whereas other mitzvahs can be in a manner that one mitzvah is separated from another, as the precision of the wording, the precise wording of our sages, that the Jews, they are filled of mitzvahs like a pomegranate. He is indeed full of mitzvahs, however, they are separate one from another, and have appeal, which covers them. So they are all mitzvahs, they have an underlying thing that holds them, they're all serving Hashem, but one separate another. Similarly to the seeds of a pomegranate. That's why it says sometimes when you're involved in another mitzvah, you're putter from another, you're exempt from doing other mitzvahs. But here we're talking about this mitzvah, lighting the candle lights up the whole house. So it's not something that becomes separate. Based on this, it is understood that why there is an addition in the fulfillment of the mitzvahs to Shabbos candles of Jewish women and daughters by their whole house, including the husbands and boys. Basically, that there's an addition when a woman lights when the women light Shabbos candles, this lights up the whole house, and it makes an addition to everybody in the husband's life. And simply the lighting of the holy Shabbos candle is the beginning which leads into the entire Shabbos for the whole household. And only afterwards comes the Shabbos prayers and Kiddush of the men. Similarly, more in general, as the Talmud says, that through the lighting of the holy Shabbos candles one merits to have children who are Torah scholars, since it says that for a candle is a mitzvah and Torah is a light. Therefore, through the mitzvah's candles of Shabbos comes the light of Torah. In other words, by a woman, the merit of the women lighting the holy Shabbos candles, they merit to have children who are Torah scholars. So therefore it says, the candle is a mitzvah and the Torah is light. They light up their children light up the world, and their husbands and their children light up the world in such a way through their Torah. So it all comes from the women lighting the candles. I had one personal experience about lighting candles. I was lighting candles at that time by myself. I was single. And there was a big Rebbe called the Skolena Rebbe that I had the merit to go, and I spent a few Shabbosim with him. And it was in Palm Springs. I was staying in a hotel nearby. So I come to light Shabbos candles, and it's already after Shabbos candle, but right before Shkia. And I start the light, and he comes down and lights at the same time. Only time I felt like the heavens open. It was a real spiritual experience. I was lighting with him, and all of a sudden I felt like everything was revealed, everything was above. I felt it was like another world for 5 seconds, whatever. Anyway, Shabbos candle is very, very special. And we may say, so and the Rebbe's going to explain, this is a chiddush by the Rebbe, something new. So he's going to explain how the Shabbos candles have to do with all the mitzvahs, all the positive commandments. That everything you do, because it's a mitzvah, a positive commandment to light a Shabbos candle. So he says that if you take in Hebrew, and the word nun and reish comes up to 500. No, I mean 200. What? Nun and reish is not 500. 250. And so he says, so that's the numerical value of ner, candle in Hebrew, and that represents, the Rebbe says, the 248 positive commandments, where they're permeated, they're done totally with aspects of love and fear of Hashem. So this is the idea. When a person does all the mitzvahs with love and fear of Hashem, he becomes a candle. So the women lighting the Shabbos candle, the Rebbe's pointing out how that by lighting the Shabbos candle is a general type of mitzvah that affects everything. Now we're on number 17, page 137. In general, the lesson of this is that the service of a Jew must be in the manner of bursting forward with all the lights. You have to be bursting forward with no limitation, that his entire existence is permeated with a candle is mitzvah and Torah's light. That everything is that you're just lighting up and you're bringing truth and light into the world. And he does his service with a healthy soul and a healthy body, similar to the high priest, who is complete in every aspect, as we said up above, chapter 8. Therefore, we have to do with such energy and such light that we're standing with the infinite power of Hashem in us. And through this infinite power of light of Hashem, and infinite light of being, and then being with that's how we have to do have to permeate the whole world with this level. The Rebbe he's telling us this is why we can do this. The Rebbe doesn't tell you something you can't do. The Rebbe reveals, every Rebbe in every generation, especially our Rebbe, reveals what's happening to us and what we can do and what we should do. Not only but we're able to do this. And even if there is heaven fed an interruption and descent for the Rebbe, that this Erev Shabbos, there was a lady who passed away, Shoshana Gutnick, and the Rebbe's talking about her. So it says, even that there is heaven, the Rebbe went out from let's see, I'm going to read ahead. Where was this? This is next one. Not 100. This I'm going to read. It says down here. This is a Shoshana Gutnick. So it says, and likewise, regarding the passing of a woman who was Shoshana Gutnick amidst the Jewish people, heaven forfend, that when her children are alive, that they continue with true life of Torah and commandments as they were educated through her. So she gives a life that they continue her life. including especially through the additional activities and manners of charity and kindness to bring about the elevation of her soul, that she is alive. Moreover, that through this we hasten the accomplishment that she is alive in the most literal sense with the resurrection of the dead. So that he wanted the publisher note, who wrote the book, pointed out that it was on Friday, the ushering of Shabbos, the Torah Parshas Bo. This is the Torah that the one we're dealing with right now. Before that there was there was escorting of the coffin of the Rebbetzin, Rezo Shoshana Gutnick, may she rest in peace. And at the head of the escorting assembly, may he be separated. May he be separated for a good long life. The Rebbe Shlita. Seemingly, this is possibly allusion to the name regarding Shoshana as inference as reference in this incident. In which she passed away that Erev Shabbos, and the Rebbe went out and was involved in the funeral procession. So it says, and even though there's even if there is, God forbid, an interruption for and descent. For a small moment I've forsaken you, and that was just a small time, because it's going to bring it back right away. That one's father or mother has departed, heaven forbid, God forbid, since the redemption has not yet come in actuality. Indeed, it is a descent. Why is it a descent? For an ascent afterwards, only in order to reach a higher level of revelation and come to power. She's going to even see more of Hashem, more of the essence, both in the soul and more and mainly in her, and more in sense. Not only she's going to a higher level as she goes above, and she's reaching and seeing more of godliness, but also it's going to affect that as you should be seeing in her children. She's giving power to her children, to everybody she's involved with, to do more and mainly in her household, the boys and mainly the daughters, that they shall seek to compensate and to continue to do the work that she would have done had she been alive. So they could finish up what she didn't finish up, and the spirit which she infused them in through their education, which through her children being alive, indeed she's also alive. So therefore that she's following her footsteps, and her highest of that life that she did is still in the world, because they are taking what she gave them and continuing to use it. So therefore she's also alive. And number 18. What time?
27.
We'll just finish it, Baruch Hashem. Number 18, page 138. And it may be the will of Hashem that through the making of resolutions of the 10th of Shevat, including that every person participates in all activities and customs related to the 10th of Shevat, that we should be beginning with the Hasidic bringings, which are made in every place on this day, as well as during the week before it and after it, so everybody should bring. This should also be, even before this, the phenomenon of those who dwell in church, that the Rebbe say, even before the 10th of Shevat comes, that there should be the phenomenon that those who dwell in the dust arise and sing, and the Balilul at our head, and Mamish literally immediately, with the meaning of Mamish as known, that the righteous ones are resurrected immediately, and we will celebrate the yard sake together with them. It's interesting. The Rebbe says, and Mamish literally immediately, with the literal meaning of Mamish, as is known. Mamish is the name of the Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson. So that's with the literal meaning of Mamish is known, that the righteous ones are resurrected immediately, and we will celebrate the yard site together with them. And literally immediately transpires that what is said at the beginning of the Parshas B'Shalach, when Pharaoh sent out the nation from exile, and the Jewish people lead with a high hand, very namely that we go out of exile and we enter the Holy Land, then into Jerusalem, the holy city, and then the holy mountain, the Har Habayis, and to the third base of Migdash, and then to the Kodesh Kodesh, Holy of Holies. Hashem shall reign forever and ever. Zaygazoot, everybody. We have finished this. Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow we're starting a new one. It's one especially for the women. Stay tuned, especially the women. It's especially insights to give you more and more chayes in life to fulfill your holy job to bring Mashiach now and to reveal Mashiach Tzidkenu in all the worlds right away.